Uh, there we go. Hey, we are live. This is Tailgate Talk with Square Body Stuff. We've got Brad with Benco Designs over here, and down there we got with Buff's Garage. Yeah, we're just gonna have a chat about what was it? Not last weekend, or was it? Was it last weekend?
2 weekend
before. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, brain's still fuzzy from all of it. But we spent 4 days. But I want to see you guys come in. Am I good?
You were cutting out a little bit.
Okay, I might have to move my.
Oh, you're good.
Move my studio. Anyways, we're gonna reminisce about our 4-day thrash on making Big Booty Judy great again. Now, Big Booty Judy is Big Booty Judy is Brad's 85 C30 crew cab dually, beautiful truck. I'll let him kind of explain what the truck was or is or all that. Go ahead, Brad.
So I got it from a guy who got it from the original owner, and when I got it, it had 25,000 original miles. And as we all know, those old quadra jets, they just kind of suck gas, and the old SM 465s.
Yeah, the original quadra jet's still over there.
Yeah, they're really not known for having gas mileage when you only have a 3-speed with granny low. But so we put a gear vendor's unit on it, sniper, and we also decided to take all the emission stuff off, because you can't take part of it off, and so then it evolved into headers and intake manifolds and everything else I had to do, in my opinion, to make the truck run on the new modern stuff. And while I was at it, I might as well throw a set of modern gauges in it, which Jacob did a great job installing those. And I mean, honestly, we all did a great job. But those gauges work phenomenal. The truck runs. I mean, we had to give it a little meth on Thursday night to get her to wake back up. But and we're just saying methanol and fuel because that's what they had at the dyno to throw in it to wake her back up.
And I want to add that is like, I wish we got more of that because at the dyno, because that truck seemed to be like not necessarily on its last leg. The truck is in good shape. It's just well worn. It's been, I guess, maybe neglected a little bit from the past because it's low mileage. It's just been sitting a lot. So yeah, when we're at the dyno, he just drove this truck 400 miles down to Missouri from Minnesota. We had some issues at the dyno and trying to get some spacers to fit on the truck. And once we finally got it on the dyno, the hub dyno, the truck wouldn't even start. The fuel pump said, I don't have enough pressure. I'm giving up right here. So the only fuel we had available at the dyno was the methanol in a 5-gallon can, and Clayton Lamb with the dyno shop, horsepower proving grounds. He's like, well, all I've got is this. He started pouring some methanol down the carburetor while Brad was trying to start it up, and she finally took off and ran. So
she liked it.
To me, that was, yeah. To me, that was kind of like, this is the perfect time or perfect platform to do these upgrades with. And she took off, she ran, she made a couple dyno pulls, and drove her to my house from the dyno shop, which is about an hour, 10 minutes. So, and when you pulled her in the shop and shut her off, there's like a puddle of fuel underneath the front of the truck from the fuel pump. Just, it was done. The factory mechanical fuel pump was done. But you had a bed full of goodies that were unloading to put on this thing, and that's where all these guys came in. I literally was just kind of support. I've done a little bit here and there, but you know,
you made the drive shaft.
Yeah.
Well, I made a drive shaft and the gear vendors thing and a couple other things, but I was just kind of that guy in the shop that was just there. But the rest of these guys
host.
I appreciate that, Buff. That was my biggest worry on this whole deal is when Brad contacted me and said, "Hey, we're going to do this at your shop," I'm like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, we just made it happen, and of course we're missing one guy that was in here most of the time. My son Shelman. I'm not sure if he's going to join in. He's in the chat. There we go. But my son Shelman was here most of the time, just kind of hanging out. A lot of help, but it was good for him just kind of get away from stuff. But hanging out in this shop with other people was great for me because honestly, it was kind of a weird thing for me because I'm usually here just by myself. So working on an old square body with these guys was awesome.
Yeah, and I definitely think we saw a little bit of Stumpy without seeing Stumpy over the weekend.
Oh, that's true. He didn't actually make himself known, but I think we saw a little bit.
I think he was there.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, maybe.
Right.
You pointed out a hole in an intake.
So I want.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Well.
On an intake.
Yeah, there was a lot of. I mean, if a guy was to like have a camera or several cameras going, we could have made like a week-long like Shark Week. We could have Big Booty Judy Week out of all this footage we could have got out of this. It was great. So yeah, we started out right off the bat with having to weld up the intake, and just little things here and there that kind of set us back, and then we'd have a good moment. And but I would like to ask Brad, how is Big Booty Judy doing? 2 weeks post build? What's your thoughts?
She's doing really well. I'll tell you this: it took just about 5 tanks of fuel to come down. So you guys do the math at 20 gallons a tank. So, and it probably would have been a little bit less, but just before the Minnesota-Iowa border, the fuel selector valve under the truck developed a leak. So we were peeing fuel out that while consuming it. So, but I did about 3.5 tanks to come home.
Wow.
So and the sniper sensor is not reading the temperature, so it's not learning a fuel map.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, I mean, I'm going to get that sensor replaced tomorrow. I replaced the fuel selector valve today, so I solved that problem. But I mean, hell, guys, I mean, the truck's almost 40 years old, and it spent half of its life sitting. So a lot of the components, in my opinion, that are failing, it's that they're now getting used again. And it's, like the fuel pump failed because it was probably a diaphragm, that hadn't been used. And I started working it, It's these small parts. Why they fail is because, well, I should say there's two reasons why parts fail: overuse and lack of use.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think Shellman was the one that dropped the oil on it when we did. Was there any fuel in the oil when he dropped the oil on it?
I don't think so. There was, because when he dropped the oil, there was.
I think that. Uh-oh. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Shellman was actually the one that found the hole in the intake manifold that night. We were just kind of looking through stuff after everyone left. Shellman and I were out in the shop. He's like, Dad, we got a problem here. I'm like, what's that? He's like, there's a hole in the intake. I'm like, well, there's several holes in the intake. He's like, no, there's actually a hole that's not supposed to be there. So, yeah, I had to drop that bomb on Brad when he showed up, and and the thing is my TIG welder, and my skills hasn't been used on aluminum TIG welding for like probably 8 years. So that was a little bit of a process trying to get that figured out, but.
So I just want to add that for those of us that don't always get to buy brand new parts, and someone shows up like the square body Santa with a whole bed full of new stuff, not everything out of the box is good to go. And we found that out a couple times with stuff that just because it's brand new in the box doesn't mean it's ready to go. And I'm glad we were able to fix it and get it going.
Yep. And, the hole in intake is not, something that you normally run into. But I've had on my channel several times, especially with this 339 build, when you start putting a bunch of parts together, not everything's going to work right together. Either physical fitment or talking to each other, if it's electronics or, stuff like that. So, there's a point where if you're going to be putting a bunch of stuff together with a bunch of aftermarket parts, you're going to have to use the old noodle a little bit to get things to work right. And, these guys here, I think the guys, not ever working together and what we had in the shop as far as resources and stuff, the Big Booty Judy project worked out pretty well.
I would completely agree. Like I said, I guess what I'm most excited for, other than all the new upgrades, is driving back down to Springfield on Friday morning, and she's going back on the hub dyno, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a world of difference. And I want everybody to we'll put the same dollar back down. Buff, you might lose your $6.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm willing to do it because here's the thing, and I'm not joking, guys. She is up there in power. I mean, everything was done exactly the right way. I did put, and if we did put a cam in it, I didn't want to put some giant cam in it, and it still might happen.
Yeah.
But the truck's meant for towing. It's got, smog heads. It's not, it's not a clock buster. And I even watched, again, just, as part of, because I'd watched it before, but Engine Masters did a thing with running all the different intakes on a big block. Mm-hmm. And they said, hands down, buy an air gap, whether it be Edelbrock's or Speed Pros or whatever. They said, you're not going to find a better intake. If you got the hood clearance, put it on.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I suggest too, because I've watched all those shows and all the different testing stuff, and it doesn't matter which engine it is, whether it's a small block Chevy, big block Chevy, Mopar, Ford, it doesn't matter. Every intake test I've seen that has the air gap, either an actual Edelbrock RPM air gap or a clone, those intakes are all around the best intake. And Now, if you're going to be drag racing or something like that at a different level, maybe something different might work. But all around, those RPM air gaps up to like 6,500 RPM are probably the best performer all the way around, hands down. It's been proven before. So that was a good choice on that. That's what I really need to have on this big block, which I have one on the wall. That once I get this big block and cream puff, that's what's going to have on it. I really think that this big block will make more horsepower with that RPM air gap, or that, well, it's not an RPM, it's a Speedmaster, what I've got. It'll probably make more horsepower than what I got on there right now, but it comes down to application. Big Booty Judy, she's a big girl. She's going to be towing. She's going to be just cruising. That was a good choice on that. And the gear vendors. I'm curious, and not just because I was that was my big moment on the bill was the gear vendors, but I'm really curious. I was most curious about that upgrade, long haul. How did that gear vendors work out for you on the trip home?
So with the factory gauges, like most of you guys know, most square bodies don't have a tack. So I never knew what RPMs I was pulling, trying to do, 70 to 80 miles an hour to keep up with modern day traffic, So at 70 miles an hour, I mean, it's pulling like 3,600 RPMs, which, I mean, that's kind of screaming, just to keep hauling along. I flipped that switch at 70, it said 23 to 25.
Yeah.
And if I push 80 with it, with the gear vendors locked in, I'm just under 3,000 RPMs, which, I mean, honestly, I drove faster home because the RPMs allowed me to do it,
Yeah.
And it's still pulling the whole way.
Yeah. And that big block with the cubic inches, the fuel injection you got now, it was probably, and it's running more efficient. So it's actually using less fuel and doing all that and still putting in the same amount of work. That's the whole setup that we Brad put together. Brad's the one that put everything together as far as buying the parts and having the package together. That was a all around great package for the application, because you had the fuel injection, the automated gauges. That was kind of a little bit of a bling thing. That wasn't a necessity, but that allows you to see you've got options there. But with the gear vendors, the sniper system, the headers and exhaust, all of that made that big block run way more efficiently.
And that was my end goal. I wasn't trying to make, the horsepower monster of 600 horsepower.
No.
That truck is the reason I have it. It's meant to be my tow pig for when I go to shows. And I don't know if you guys have seen on my page with my orange truck, which is kind of my baby. That's up on jack stands right now getting air ride, and I plan on having that on the trailer and Judy pulling it. So
she'll do it for sure.
And I think she'll have way less issues pulling it, because from my perspective, the first time I heard Big Booty Judy run was whenever you started her up, pulled her up on the dyno, and I thought, oh boy, this thing is, Judy sounds kind of rough, a little tired. I'm hoping it's everything else and not mechanic, and and that's what it ended up being. Because once you put the sniper system on there and you hit the key, I mean, she sparked right off and had a whole different sound.
It barely made a full revolution, I think.
Yeah, it had a whole different sound to it. I mean, if you used to hear the truck before and after, not knowing any better, you'd almost think that we put a brand new engine in it because it ran so much better.
Yeah, so I guess I'll run down, like, when I originally got the truck. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to use it as my tow truck, or tow rig, okay, I can LS swap it. Okay, well, LS swap it means, engine, transmission, new drive, some type of, I'm going to have to modify the drivetrain anyways to put that in. So it's like, okay, well, dollars and cents. Let's start adding it up, and in the same way, even if I could have bought call it a 2-wheel drive Chevy truck with a 4L80 in it, because I'd have to have the 80 to tow, I would spend $3,000 to $4,000 just buying the donor vehicle. Then I got to spend either my time or money to either have the harness custom made to go down to it, which, I mean, yeah, you can spend a weekend and do it yourself. It's a headache. I mean,
it sucks.
Or you buy one for anywhere for $400 to $800. They're out there. PSI sells them. I have a BP Automotive one in my C10 that I call Nearly Perfect, which is my orange truck, and it's one of those things. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to spend $8,000 LS swapping it. Okay, what's another option? Yeah. I could put an NV 4500 in it, keep it a manual. Okay, well, now I gotta spend. I mean, NV45s have gone up ridiculously in price since everybody started swapping them in. Just buying a core is $2,500 at best.
Wow.
And you don't know what you're getting. So I'm like, okay, again, have to modify my drivetrain. I have to figure out what flywheel, clutch, etc. And like I said, I'm at $2,500 there. Okay, best option in my opinion. My uncle goes, I got a Cummins sitting here.
Yeah.
$4,500 and it needs a transmission.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't do diesel. I don't know how to do it.
So, but like I said, and that's just buying the parts. And I know all said and done, Sniper's about, with the Hypersparks, about $3,000. The gear vendors was $3,000, $1,500 for the gauges. And where I did save money was I bought that Jags intake. Yeah, Chad had to weld it, but that was $260 for that intake. Yeah. I mean, the Edelbrock's version is $400. And then I bought Flowtech headers, which I hope they're listening, because those are the best fitting. I've never had headers go in an old vehicle as nicely and as cleanly. Buffs at the top, the passenger side slid right in. Driver side, I had to give it one little tap from the bottom and it popped right up, and it misses everything. We didn't have to put any speed dents in it, which we know from watching shows that it doesn't hurt it. It just hurts the looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. We did not want to dent them.
Yeah, those ceramic headers, once you start dinging those, then you're going to have issues with rust and all that stuff. But I'll add, too, I've never spent the money on the ceramic-coated Flowtechs, but I think the headers on my big block in my crew cab are Flowtechs also. And they were just the standard ones, but they fit perfectly. So, yeah, Flowtech gets a big win on the headers. Because big block headers, it doesn't matter what you put them in. Usually they're kind of a pain. But yeah, those worked out great.
I mean, if I didn't bring new exhaust with me, we could have hooked them up to the old exhaust. They were that close.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought new exhaust is because it was all old and rusty, and like Flowmasters.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it until just now, but I had a Edelbrock air gap for a big block sitting in the shop that I'm not going to use on anything. That I thought of it then, we could have just went that route instead of taking all the time to weld that intake up.
Way to go, Jacob.
I know. Well, dropping the ball again.
I had the brand new Speedmaster hanging on the wall that hasn't ever been used. That we could have done that, and then we could have put mine on there, and then he could have sent that one back to Jags and all that stuff. But it kind of added a little bit to the whole process, and
I agree.
It taught me something that you never know what you're going to get out of the box. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. We got Richard Pratt here in the comments. Mr. Richard Pratt and Dr. Art Hot Rod Rehab. Ryan Young's been in here for a little while.
He's a buddy of mine from high school.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the whole project, I'll admit that when we first started talking about it, and Brad, basically told me that we were going to do it in my shop, I was like, okay. At first, it's like, it seemed cool, but then it's like, me being me, I kind of thought I got to where I wasn't looking forward to it, and that's just me and my personality.
You psych yourself out.
I do, and I work myself up and try to talk myself out of stuff. But I tell you what, it was a great weekend for me, and we really enjoyed ourselves here. And it was just, after the fact, like that week after, I would come home from work and or wake up in the morning and nobody's here. Where's everybody at? I was kind of like, man, the crew's gone. Can't we go do something in the shop?
Can we do something fun?
Yeah.
I am available for hire. I don't take a lot.
I don't pay good, so that works out great.
There you go. Hey, you feed really well, though.
Buff only needs a few lemonades.
Yeah.
No more. Do not accept lemonade from this guy right here. Don't do it.
They were high octane lemonades.
They were.
Yeah, we
invented the new washer thanks to the lemonade. Come on, man. That's the
the penny washer. Yep.
How much
Why
the one
spend 3
cents you
cents?
have there?
Well, there's 2. I don't know why I have 2, but I have 2.
So a little update on the pennies. My son was here this weekend, and he wanted to count change and go through change, and Deb and him found 485 pennies. So we will be drilling those out and be putting those on Judy.
Keeping the penny alive.
Yes. We got Thrash Metal Studio in here. Yeah, thank you, Richard. That was it was a great project. Hey, there's Gus. Yeah, we got Texas right here at my feet.
All right.
I think he senses everybody. Yeah, I for one will consider the project a success because within hours of getting the gear vendors, the last part of it done, we took a test drive, confirmed that it worked. We come back to the shop, and Brad was loading everything back up in the truck, getting ready to head back to Minnesota, and just pretty much within hours headed back to Minnesota after getting the gear vendors done on Sunday.
And he made it.
Yeah, he made it. I was a little nervous that next day or two because he was like, when am I going to get that phone call? If I got to hook the trailer up and go get him.
And the fuel gauges do work. So.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
We did something right, Jacob.
Yeah.
Well, as far as that goes, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't cut the pink wire.
Somebody with a sawzall.
Hey, don't necessarily assume it was me. I was just present at the time.
There's unfortunately, from a content creator standpoint, there was so much stuff that we miss.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Definitely.
you know, and that's what I've loved watching Jacob's videos. And by the way, this guy down below, everybody watching after this or even during this, take a break and go hit this guy up on YouTube and give him all the subs you can. Busted Grill Garage, because he's trying to make it to No Name Nationals in like 2 weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks. Trying to make it to No Name Nationals. He needs another 80, 70 some subs so to make the criteria of 500 subscribers, and he deserves it. This guy's doing some good stuff on his channel, so go hit him up. He was a great asset to the Big Booty Judy build. I love having him around, and of course, you know, also go hit. There he is, Buff's Garage. Get him some subs too. He's got a good channel going. He's got a lot of stuff going on his channel. Brad's not got a YouTube channel, but he's got Benco Designs plug. Go visit Brad at Benco Design. He's got the door handles. We've got the headlight ring.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, and I've also got the headlight rings installed in the squeaky here. The polished ones. These are the black anodized. Actually, I think these are going to be going in squeaky. Those are going to get traded for some of the door handles he's got holding up. Hold up the ones with the silver button. Yes.
Yeah.
I think squeaky.
These are Judy's.
Oh.
I could make a pair for Chad though. For Squeaky.
Well, Squeaky. I think Squeaky can rock those.
For sure.
If you're going to go with the black, I would say these are going to match.
Let's see. Yeah. The black and these headlight rings, I think, are what's going to go on. I thought about for the show, just putting one of these in and having one of each, and then have the box there and actually be kind of a little bit of a display for your product. Because Brad's going to be there at the show, but I could have a little bit of a display there, have the box there, and you know, if people say, "Well, why you got two different headlight rings?" Like, well, let me explain. Benco Designs makes all sorts of cool stuff. You need to go hit Brad up. So yeah, kind of got on a little rabbit trail there on our Benco Designs plug.
And his shirt.
Go hit him up. Yeah, I got the shirt. He's got some cool stickers, but his products are really awesome. High-end, high-quality stuff that Brad wouldn't have approached me in Oklahoma at the truck gathering. Oh, yeah, the door lock knobs, too. If Brad wouldn't have hit me up and started the conversation at the Oklahoma truck gathering, I would never bought the products because to me they don't really fit that. But after we discussed it, I realized that those products do fit everything. They're that little extra bling that can make really accentuate any vehicle. So, and it doesn't have to be a square body. They do a lot of stuff for the 67 through 72 GM pickups. So, yeah, go check out Benco Designs. See, yeah, Buff's fancy. He's got his laptop out, so he's able to help us out with the links and everything. This is the link to Jacob's YouTube channel, Busted Grill Garage.
Thank you, Buff.
Yeah, no problem. We got to get you to at least 500.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
like 3 weeks
Jacob. Jacob is in southern Missouri. He's actually real close to me in southern Missouri.
Thrash Metal Studio. I think you're asking where I am. I'm down in Austin, Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad is from Austin, Minnesota. I'm from Southern Missouri, along with Jacob, and Buff is in Oklahoma now. Correct?
Yeah, I'm kind of a nomad, but yes, I do have an address in Oklahoma.
He's got an address.
I'm rarely ever home. I prefer it that way.
I'm just the opposite. I have made my home my getaway.
Yeah.
If I take vacation, I want to just take vacation and go home.
Yeah, I could do that. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, Shelman, my son, he's close to me too.
Of course, going to Square Body Stuff Ranch was my vacation, so it's very peaceful waking up to a whole field of dreams every morning.
Yeah.
The field of dreams.
I pulled the day or two after that. I'd pull around the shop, and Buff's RV wasn't there. I thought, I didn't think I would miss that thing, but the RV's gone. A big empty hole.
Gone. Yeah.
Judy's been replaced by Squeaky.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually, I mean, my trucks were, I had to go console them because they were a little upset. They understood the project. They understood the end goal. But they actually got all parked out in the field of dreams. And
they were like,
they were little,
no,
yeah. They were like, wait a minute. No,
we're not ready.
We get parked here. We don't ever run again. Look, and then my crew cab buddy, donated some parts. I should get them in a couple of days. They're on order, but we ended up needed some U-joint strap bolts for Big Booty Judy, because the ones that were on there were, I think, the factory ones that got like a rear star head on them, and I had the socket for it. Yeah, inverted Torx. I mean, I had the socket for it and everything, but I just don't feel like I can really. They just feel like they're going to strip out before I get them tightened properly. So I like to replace them with a regular hex head. So that's what I had on my crew cab, same rear end, everything. So Big Booty Judy got some buddy parts, and yeah, it was just good times. If we needed something, I was like, wait a minute, field trip, we'll go out to this. And Jacob loves
field trips.
Yeah, Jacob loves the field trips out to the Field of Dreams, because usually when Jacob goes on a field trip to the Field of Dreams, he ends up with something. Yeah,
actually, the crank in this small block right here is a Field of Dreams crank.
Yeah. Yep. We needed crankshaft for his little small block. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute,
extra quiet.
I've got one. What was that?
I got my dad over here trying to be all extra quiet and not disturb anything. Just put him right in the middle of it.
There you go. Hey, Bert. Bert's a little camera shy.
Just a little bit.
So I know we touched on this just a little bit, but I think there needs to be Making Big Booty Judy Great Again Part 2 coming to Benco Designs / my other business, Curtis Customs, putting her on air ride.
Drop it like it's hot.
I could definitely do that. I mean, I say that knowing how much it took for me to get there this time, and it was worth every bit of it.
Yeah.
I really want to air ride a big old dually. I've done the 63 Pontiac, which is almost as long, but yeah, let's see what a dually can do on 4-link and airbags. That'd be awesome.
So slowly collecting my parts right now, and let's put it for spring of 2024.
I think I can make that work. I may have to fly in, but I can get there.
Yeah,
that's fine. We get airports.
Well, it might be one of those things, Buff, where we have to like the three of us hop in a square body of some sorts and head up there.
Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Buddy with
And-
a
The thing is, though,
Gear
Buff's
benders.
riding in the middle all the way up there.
Yeah.
I got dibs on a window seat.
Yeah.
There's a slider.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd have to kind of figure out, we'll figure out the logistics of that. But yeah, it's a great idea.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't 100%, say yes on the whole deal right now, but I'm definitely interested. That would be a fun project, a follow-up project, and somewhere different. That would be really cool.
And mechanically, it's not that difficult. It's the logistics of the whole trip. And then, of course, you add in, now we got to do plumbing and we got a little bit electrical and it'll be fun. But it's just like this one. I think the part that really kind of threw some of us was, okay, we're taking, like, I've never done a sniper before. I've never dealt with autometer digital dashes or any of that, gear vendors. And so it was diving into the unknown. I mean, yeah, we can all do mechanic, we can turn a wrench, we can wire even, but at the end of the day, we did everything in 4 days. And it was a lot of wiring and a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was a few times I was like, all right, I might just be done. And then we all came back and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, then you turn the gauges on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That got me going. When the gauges came on, I was like, woo, that's cool. Let's move on.
Yep. It's those little moments during a build. I call them inspiration moments where, you can wait to hit the switch, turn the gauges on, or you can wait to fire it up with the new exhaust on because it's not completely welded, or wait to put the intake and everything on a fresh engine because you're not ready for that yet. But those inspiration moments where you just go ahead and just kind of get everything together so you can just have that little moment, turn the gauges on where they come on. They may not be fully functional, but you see those gauges, and that's where, from my point of view, no, I've never done a sniper. I've never done the gauges. I've never done the gear vendors, but I've done so much of all of this kind of stuff that, it wasn't like, oh, I'm taking on something I don't know if I can handle. I knew I could handle any of it. And I was most interested in the gear vendors because it applies to what I want to do in the future more. But, of course, the intake headers, all that stuff, that's, the mechanics part of it, which, pretty mainstream. But for me,
next time we wait until Buff's not under the truck with the open headers and then rev it up, please. My ears are still ringing from that. It sounded great, but really loud.
I didn't know.
I know.
Yeah.
I was looking for leaks. That was my fault. Just let it leak next time.
It was awesome. But from my point of view, seeing the moments with like Jacob, whenever he turned the gauges on, I could hear him like, oh, it was just those little moments for me were really cool. When things were happening good or things were happening bad, or the ups and downs, and I'm making it sound like I didn't do nothing. I did a little bit of something throughout the whole build.
I got it on video. You did plenty. You did a lot. And my video is supposed to be dropping this week. It's not quite done yet, but hopefully it'll get out this week and everybody can see my version of what you guys have already done.
Yeah. But see, it's like I did catch myself several times just kind of standing back in my corner where I was welding stuff or whatever and just kind of just taking it all in. And Deb, Brad's girlfriend, she was like, is this overwhelming you? I said, maybe just a little bit, but it's also like so awesome for me because, a year ago, I would never dream this would be happening. Having not necessarily just working on a truck, doing all this kind of stuff in my shop, that's part of it, because there's a lot of high dollar stuff going in this truck that I'm not ready for yet, financially or whatever. But having Brad from Minnesota come down to my shop, and Buff from Buff's Garage come to my shop. Of course, Jacob, he's been here since before I even done the YouTube thing, I think. Well, no, I met you before I done the YouTube thing, just right before it. But just having this happen in my shop with the anxieties I was having beforehand, and it was like flowing, and everybody was having a good time. I was just having those moments, just like, wow, this is awesome. This is what it's about. This is what it's all about. Yeah, so it was really cool.
And I guess from my standpoint too, I'd let every one of you wrench on my vehicles again. I have no problem with that. I have no qualms with that. Chad, you took your time to make sure that the drive shaft was done, and it was done right to the best of our abilities. That's there's a lot of that, but you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, that drive shaft has zero. I mean, absolutely zero vibration in it. And will I take it out and have it balanced? Maybe. I don't know. Works too good right now.
I would actually be curious. If you did, it wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit if you did do that, because I'm curious to see how close it is. Obviously, it's close enough because you don't have any drivetrain vibration. That was a huge concern of mine. As far as building a drive shaft to hold together, I know I could do that. Having one, building it with the facilities I have here, without any vibration, we may have to tweak it here and there. But like I said earlier, we took it for a test drive, and
you didn't even notice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was another thing is our test drive after the gear vendors and the drive shaft that we built on my table here. Of course, I told Brad, I said, just take it easy when we get on the blacktop. Just take it easy. Don't ease into it. That way, if it starts vibrating really bad, you're not, you can get out of it quick. So he started taking off and started going through the gears, and he started playing with the gear vendors, and then our minds, I think both of our minds, went straight to the gear vendors because nothing else was going on. And we get going down the road, and we turn around, head back to the house, and he's just thrashing on it and playing with the gear vendors. And we both had that moment like, there's no vibration, because we were doing at least 80, 85. And the truck was
allegedly.
Possibly. I mean, it was a short trip to Mexico, but
right. Yeah. Long way to go. Short time to get there.
Yeah. Leighton Welding is has helped me in my drive shaft building career. He's the one that loaned me the welder at No Name Nationals last year to weld 2 drive shafts at the Jeffers Motorsports Park. So, but those actually, I will say, Travis with Perpetual Project, the drive shafts I've welded up for him, he says he's had it at highway speeds and 0 vibration. Now, the drive shaft I built at No Name Nationals, I don't want to take it at highway speeds. It's a special case.
Special. It's special.
But it did hold out for a burnout contest. So
yes, it did. I am not sure how, but it did.
Well, the drive shaft part, I wasn't too worried about, but how it was held to the rear yoke, yeah. Hey, yeah, Bad Tree Productions. Blake is here.
Blake.
What's going on, guys?
Blake.
Oh no. Leighton's not going to be
Welder's
there with the
not-
welder.
Oh,
You better bring that
Oh,
scratch
no.
with you.
nobody better break anything.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Well, crap.
Well, I guess we just
If
can't
we
break
think
anything.
it's necessary, I've got a 220 generator and a welder that may just make its way into the back of the truck.
well,
It's probably
yeah,
necessary.
yeah, bring it because you may save someone's weekend. And if you don't have,
I mean,
if
if
you
it's-
don't have
yeah, if
room, if you don't
We'll
have
make
room,
room.
I'm gonna have plenty of room because I'm gonna have my big trailer and Squeaky, and so I'll have plenty of room if you don't have room for it. But
Okay.
oh yeah, Shellman said that have my other son Austin go with his portable welder, but I think what Jacob's got will work real good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. NSB, they're going to bring their truck too. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. Hopefully they'll bring everything we need
Yeah,
because we won't need anything because nothing's going to break.
I hope so.
Yeah, everything's going to be perfect. Fine.
So
Yep.
This big
All right.
block behind me is probably going to be done 2 or 3 days before. So
you know the sad thing is everyone can see that big block sitting behind him. It's a bare block. I've got a small block over here I've been working on for a year and a half now. All it needs is the head. I need a little work of the heads and then put together. And I'm still not going to have enough time to get that done. And he'll probably have that big block put together and running.
we're just going to say for the time being, now granted, when the blower gets put on, it's going to be done a little bit more in detail than what it's probably going to be done this go round. It's going to be put together and well enough to hold together. We're just going to say
Yeah.
that's about it.
Bad tree. Blake's already broken. It can't get any worse. I'm thinking he might be talking about his car. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure I saw something about something breaking on his car. I didn't get to
Yeah.
dive in because I was working on
Yeah.
old Brian Van Tannen, but I did glance at it.
So before, I mean, I don't really have a time limit on this live. I was kind of thinking about an hour, but you know, but before we do go, I want to ask, when I decided to do the live with this, I want to ask each one of you a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start with Brad because he was the owner of the truck, the whole brainchild behind this build and stuff. Brad, what was your favorite moment of the weekend here at the Square Body Stuff Ranch, working on Big Booty Judy?
I think probably my favorite moment was, you know, even though I knew you guys, you know, just a little bit, none of us had any problems getting together and getting to work. And if any of us had a problem or something happened, you know, we leaned on each other without questions or qualms, and it just happened. There was, you know, lack of a better words, there was no drama. You know, we ran into a roadblock, we fixed it. Hey, Buff, you're really good at, you know, I would never let anybody wear my vehicle unless it was Buff. I'll tell you that right now. The attention to detail.
Don't advertise that.
Yeah,
This was
But I'll tell
Jacob's
you.
job.
yeah.
You know-
Buff's got a reputation to uphold. He's the lose a wheel every video guy.
And I
He lost a
did.
wheel on the
He
creeper.
did too.
I did. Yep.
But I'll tell you that, you know, I mean, wiring's a big deal. I mean, I can't tell you how many car shows I've been to, or somebody comes over and opens their hood and you just see a rat's nest flowing everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We took probably 10 pounds worth of hose and other shit off that vehicle, but we probably added 5 pounds worth of wiring back to it.
Yeah.
You cannot tell one bit that, you know, we added any.
If I had one more day, you wouldn't see most of it.
Yeah,
Right.
I could have hit it all, but it's so cumbersome. I was like, okay, now that we're here, let's go ahead and wipe this firewall clean. Let's go ahead and paint it all. Let's clear it. You won't see any wires except, just where you need to. And I realized, well, I don't have time for that. We'll just make it look as clean and factory as possible.
Yeah,
it honestly does.
And that was one of the things about this build being on a short time span is with all that you guys did, the wiring and all that stuff. It looks clean. And with more time, it could have been way better. But like Brad said, it's a really clean wiring job. The whole job went together really clean for the amount of time we had to do it in. There was, possibly some corners cut here and there on tidiness on a few things, but it still came out to be a really clean installation. All right, so I'm going to ask Buff, what was your favorite, like just off the top of your head, favorite moment, favorite feeling, whatever from that weekend?
Well, favorite, and this sounds cheesy, but when it started raining and I stood out in the rain, that was probably one of my favorite moments. And of course, add to that sitting around and having good food and good conversation. That was great regardless. But my absolute pivotal moment was look at that.
Yeah.
Was everybody, we had several of these, but you have a moment where everything should do what it's supposed to do and doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured it out, and bam, once you have that aha moment, it's just relief. Stress is gone. Yeah, it's going to take a minute, but we got it figured out, whether it was a leak, whether it was a wire, whatever it was, fuse,
Mm-hmm.
There were several of them, but those moments right there were the ones that lasted the most. And it just stuck in my head because I didn't know some of the stuff that you guys knew. And I'm like, hey, why am I seeing this little trickle on the intake? And you guys knew immediately, oh, that's this. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. But those were those aha moments where I'm going, what are we going to do? And you guys go, boop, we know. This is what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't advertise that, Showman. We don't want that out there. I use duct tape and baling wire. We don't do anything fancy around here.
Yep, that's what this shop's all about. All right, so Jacob, the youngest of the bunch, the possibly most least experienced of the bunch, other than Shelman.
Took on a lot. But he took on.
He took on a lot, and Jacob, what was your biggest takeaway or your biggest moment from the weekend?
Well, biggest part for me really was the fact that Brad I hadn't met. I had walked by him once or twice at the truck show out there in Oklahoma this spring. Buff, first time I had met you was at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then we get down there Friday morning, and it was like we'd all known each other for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like we had just not seen each other for that long, and we just caught right back up. But as far as a favorite moment, I mean, those cheesy wieners are pretty good. I don't know where you got this from.
Well, there's that.
But
the cheesy wieners.
Yeah, I don't know where you
doing
got
buff
from,
stuff.
But man, you got to tell me.
I just got to thank everyone for that beautiful, wonderful T-shirt design that hopefully I can get put together soon, because that's got to be out in the world.
Doing buff stuff.
Yeah.
I won't put a trademark on that, but I think maybe if we go back to a video, we know where it originated.
Yeah.
And that was one of those moments for me. It's like I said, Buff's over here doing Buff stuff, and it's like everybody's eyes, it's like everybody's brains like connected. Like, oh, that's something just happened.
We immediately synchronized. And everybody was thinking the same thing at the same time, and we don't have to go in what we're thinking, but we were all thinking it. And
I mean, all our minds were in the gutter. It's fine.
It is
Oh,
a
yeah.
new T-shirt we're gonna have to put together. Yeah, it's.
But we forgot
Yeah.
to say one thing when we started this whole live today, though. We forgot
What's that?
to say good morning to Princess.
Oh man, it's good evening,
Okay.
sexy princess. Now,
Yeah, it's morning, sexy princess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I
So
think that was another moment where everybody's mind just was on the same wavelength after you had accidentally sent that.
oh,
Like even
okay.
Steven, Big Block
So-
Ford, we all went to the same place.
So to shed a little light on the sexy princess deal, for I don't even remember how many months we've been planning this. It's since Oklahoma, pretty much in April. We've had a group chat on Facebook Messenger going, and we all get in there and we can talk about either the project or just talk amongst ourselves. So one morning, I was at work and trying to message my wife, Mrs. Squarebody, a good morning message. And I accidentally sent it to the group message, the Big Booty Judy message group. And everybody there seen it before she did. And it's like, as soon as I sent it, I didn't even think about it. I didn't realize what I'd done. The message, that group just starts blowing up. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Something happened. So I click on there and look. I'm like, oh my goodness, because I had posted one of my good morning posts to my princess. Good morning, sexy princess, with some smoochy emojis. So yeah, I'm still trying to live that down. And
You won't.
no, I won't. And
I
but
look
that's
back
the
on
thing.
that fondly. I appreciate that, and I feel like a pretty princess. So,
Take it for what you will.
yep.
So thanks, Kyle R, for your compliments on our build. That was it was a great weekend, and I will reiterate. Hey, Ryan from Streetcar Chronicles is here. What's going on, Ryan? Ryan had a video coming out the same time we started this out, so he's a little late to the game. But anyways, so I asked you guys the question of what was your favorite moment, and I wasn't sure exactly how you guys were going to answer it. Whether it's like the favorite, like, oh, I got to do this thing or install this and it worked great. I wasn't sure how that was going to come out, but what was great is pretty much everybody is on the same wavelength again. It wasn't necessarily about the mechanics of it or a product or anything. It was about the camaraderie, the personal experience. And I'm just going to have to expound on that and say that was pretty much my biggest takeaway from the whole project, is because, I've said it before, I had a lot of anxiety about the project. We lost Jacob. But anyways, I had a lot of anxiety about the project, having people here in my little hole in the world. That's my hole in the world. This is my getaway. But yeah, watching everybody, we all worked great together. As Jacob said, he didn't really know anybody except for me, other than kind of a little bit of an interaction beforehand. And same with me. I mean, really, with Brad, I talked to Brad just briefly at the Oklahoma truck gathering. And then since then, over the internet, and Buff, I met Buff last year at No Name Nationals, and he went to the truck gathering with us. But still, it's not like we're not four guys that were really tight knit.
No, we're all
Basically,
family, that's for sure.
Yeah, but in a way, it's like that was one of my, other than having people in my personal shop as an anxiety thing, having 4 or 5 different guys that don't really know each other trying to do this much work on a truck and having that much pressure doing, it wasn't like we were just doing an engine swap where we're pulling one out, putting one in, just getting it running. This was way more than that. So I was worried that, there might be more personal conflict or headbutting, or you just never know in that kind of situation. But
I was going to ask, how
there was
many
none of that.
wrenches were purposefully thrown?
I don't think
Oh,
any.
none.
I don't think any.
Well, that's the thing.
That's huge. You get even one guy in his shop that a wrench gets thrown, but
no,
it was really
is not
good.
That is not tolerated in this shop. I used to be bad about that in my younger days, but that kind of stuff.
Wrenches are expensive.
Well, it's just there's a time and a place for everything, and in the situation where we were at, that is not the time nor the place for, letting drama come in. So I had myself mentally prepared to get ahead of any of that. If if anything was going to happen, I was kind of ready to grab a hold of a shirt collar or an ear and drag someone outside and have a talk with them. Say, hey, this is not going to be tolerated, or sit them down and say, hey, this is how we're going to handle this situation, but we didn't have to do that. There was none of that happen. Now, there were certain points where each one of us, some stuff was not going right. And, we're all just kind of walking around a little aggravated, and not at each other, just the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But even in those moments, and it was handled awesomely. And that's the beauty of this whole project, is how it came together and worked. And that was the biggest success of the project. And I hope that people watching our videos will take away from it that, 4 strangers, in a way, 4 guys, 5 guys. We had Shellman. Sorry, Shellman. I keep forgetting. We all came together. And the unsung heroes of this was the ladies, Deb and Mrs. Squarebody, keeping us fed, keeping the dogs out of our way. Miss Deb, she kept the dogs out of our way, kept the dogs entertained, because those guys, that was.
And she DJ'd too.
Yeah, DJ'd for us when we didn't have cameras rolling. But those 2 dogs, they were not doing that very often. And that was like 100, between the 2 of them, over 100 pounds of dogs. Those 2 dogs coming through the shop like a whirlwind, like Tasmanian devils. Literally not caring about what they're knocking over, what they're hitting. They just come thrashing through here, and Deb would get them out of the shop for us. So, thanks a million to the girls taking care of us and feeding us, keeping us with the deer sausage.
I don't know where that come from, but I need to figure it out. That was good
stuff.
Yeah,
I think Brad and Deb brought that down with them. The deer sausage, the venison sausage. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. So, go ahead.
Thanks to Deb too, because of her DJing, we got to officially see Stumpy come out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it was Stumpy in full clothing.
Yeah, he wasn't wearing the short shorts, but he was there.
Yeah. So, I don't even remember what it was. It was pretty rough hardcore rock stuff. I listen to about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I was singing under the truck and
You
dancing
were
around, whatever.
I didn't know Chad played guitar.
Yeah, I was doing a little head banging, just air guitar head banging. It's a good thing. I hope I didn't throw anything out. I mean, good thing I didn't throw anything out. But yeah, it was a great weekend. And Brad has mentioned make Big Booty Judy even greater 2.0 with the air ride stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a great thing to do. Now, like I said, I obviously can't just commit to it right now.
Well, we'll figure out a time that works for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I'm saying springtime. That's where I'm at right now. So
that would be a great. Yeah.
Go ahead,
that'd be a great
We need to
project.
plan something similar when there's a new home for the Busted Grill Garage that's permanent. That's not my parents' garage.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this place is awesome, but need to have something of my own.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man.
Mm-hmm. Wait for that old housing market to just come falling right back down like it's fixing to, from what I hear.
Let's get mine sold first. That's coming up.
I guess, like I said, I chose everything I did for a reason, but what would you guys, if you guys could have done or changed or picked a different item or product, what would you have done differently?
Honest to goodness, I can't think of a whole lot, simply because everything that we did to that truck is stuff that I have been dreaming of doing to my orange truck for years now. And now it's just got me motivated to make it happen.
I would add boost. I wouldn't change anything. I just add boost.
There was 2 boost devices in that garage, and none of them fell onto Judy.
No. Roof blower and a turbo were both just sitting there waiting, and they didn't make it over to
But don't
Yeah,
put air into that turbo. It's bad for the bearings.
Yeah. Yeah, the bearings have enough oil in them from the factory that they're not going to get hurt. Anyways, I mean, everything that you had planned for that truck was like I mean, that could be a kit. That right there could be a kit of.
That's the make Big Booty Judy better.
Yeah.
Or great again kit. That's a
make
kit.
your square body great again kit because it kind of covered all the bases. I don't know that I would choose anything different. And
before that weekend, I might have. Before that weekend, I would have chosen things different. But after that weekend, I went, wow, I would have never thought to do this and that. And it came together really well.
I guess what would you have changed? Pre-weekend, what would you have changed then?
Well, so I would have went with some analog gauges. That's me. And I would have I would have went with some. The sniper's amazing. That's the only thing I would have added different was I want some boost. But after seeing how it came together and now knowing what your actual final goal is for like the interior and all that, you couldn't have gone any other way. You had to go that way to get the final result you're looking for. And so it's amazing. Yeah.
See, from a personal standpoint, I think Jacob and I both agreed that the gauge cluster you got, that's not my flavor. That's not my personal flavor. But after seeing it and seeing the installation and seeing it, because it's got you could select different style of gauges in that little cluster. And the one that at least I saw the most of while Brad was driving it was the square body deal had the 2 big gauges and the 4 little ones, just like a square body, but it's in a smaller deal. But I mean, pre installation, that was the one thing that I guess, for lack of a better term, could care less about, the gauges.
That's fine.
But I guess in a way it's because they don't really add any performance or nothing like that, and that's where I usually tend to go with. But on the other hand, like Buff said, knowing your end goal with this truck and what you're doing with this truck, those gauges were like the cherry, or maybe not the cherry on top, but like
it's right there.
Really, really awesome sprinkles. You know, because it really cleaned up the dash. I was way more impressed with those gauges than I really wanted to be. To be honest, you know, it's like,
because if you go to the show and you see it and it's off, you're just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then you kick it
I'm gonna reach in there and turn the key on.
You got the odometer pop up, and then bam, gauges. Like, you look at all the modern trucks now, and they've got 52-inch big screen in the middle and full gauge that's all digital. And I felt like driving a vehicle like that, I was losing that connection with the vehicle. But Big Booty Judy's got her own soul. And now she's lit up with her Vegas glitter, basically. She's saying, hey, look at me. That's what it is.
That really grew on me. But on the other hand, as far as like, after the fact, if I was to do anything different or to make this project like just the next notch, it would be for me a camshaft.
Oh yeah. I want to do that.
Yeah. With the upgrades you did with the intake and exhaust, the gear benders, a nice camshaft would have just
over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, and that's not how that's in the future, I'm sure.
Yep.
It's already been discussed in our group chat. But
well, maybe that's really what we do at Jacob's new garage is put a camshaft in it. Maybe a little head work,
Yeah, we need some head work.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I'm not just trying to say this because I want to make it all about me or Judy or anything like that. But if you guys have a project, I think it's something we can all collaborate on and succeed with. I don't want anybody to think that I'm doing this just for me, because I'm not. Because at the end of the day, I think every one of you guys, and I don't do YouTube, I don't necessarily plan on it at this point, but there's even a point at being the owner.
Hold on just a second.
I'm your neighbor down the road, Christy.
The thing that I could say the most, and in a way, maybe I drilled it into Jacob just a little bit, but if something goes wrong, just slow down, and even in a project, we can all make mistakes, but just slow down. That's the biggest message you can get across to anybody entering any of these projects. Slow down and do it. Had any of us done a gear benders before? None of us.
Nope.
We can't say that anymore. We can all say we can do it. We've done it. It's not that bad. It's not scary. It's, and
it was actually way simpler than I thought.
The gauges, Jacob, especially being the youngest of the crew, you took on probably one of the more intimidating things, in my opinion, with the wiring of the gauges. The sniper system, we've all done HEI conversions and MSD. That wasn't too much more out of the realm of what we've all done previously, but putting it all together, making it all work, like I said, that's the biggest thing. like Buff, I think you got something obviously cool going on with Brian Bantana.
Hopefully.
Maybe Benco Designs gets involved with making a pretty sweet grill for it.
I need one of them little what is it, trucker ladies for it, maybe. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll figure something out.
But like I said, I know, Chad, you missed it a little bit, but like I was saying, at any point, especially for younger people, what I was saying was just slow down. Mistakes typically can be handled from a slowdown. Sometimes just going too fast gets us, any of us, into a problem. And, that's the biggest takeaway from anybody. And, especially Jacob having a new kid, I got a 5-year-old, but you got to slow down when you're trying to talk to somebody that doesn't know, because not knowing, if they don't know something, you can't yell at them for not knowing something,
No, we got a lot of that goes on at my workplace. Certain guys will, oh, so-and-so didn't know how to do this. Like, you know what? There's a time that you didn't know how to do that, and I had to show you how to do that. And there's a time that I didn't know how to do it, and someone else showed me how to do it.
Yep.
Everything's a learning process, and sometimes we do learn stuff on our own, but there's a lot of stuff we learn from other people. You just got to be open-minded, and when you hit a roadblock, whenever you hit that spot where it's like, I can't figure this out, don't go to throwing wrenches or whatever. Because I used to do that. I used to be my knuckles are not the same as they used to be when I was younger, because they've been crushed by punching inanimate objects, because I get so mad. I've ruined several square body panels by punching them because I was an idiot. And I still have my times where I get really, really aggravated, but that's when you just put the brakes on, stop, walk away. And when you're working in a situation where you got, you're working with other guys, or other people, that could just make matters worse. But yeah,
But with that, I want to add, for so many of us, we wrench on our own stuff by ourselves. We may have a family member's child, parent, whatever that helps us, but for the most part, we're all doing our own wrenching. And it doesn't hurt to ask people. I mean, Brad, you were the furthest one away, but I was also pretty far away. We all came together from vast distances and just said, we're going to make this happen. It's going to take every bit of that 4 days, but we're going to make it happen. And I don't want people to say, well, I can't do it because I don't have help, or I can't do it because I don't have time. And I proved that on my video going to Sioux City, Iowa to see dudes with wrenches. I said, I need a grill. What did they do? They cut the whole front off of an RV and put it on my trailer. And I'm not kidding. They did it in 30 minutes. So it made what we then did with Big Booty Judy seem like, well, this is going to go well. Like, these guys can take a whole vehicle and cut it up and have it on the trailer in 30 minutes. This build should go well. And it did. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Let people come work in your shop. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help, because what's the worst they can do is say no, right? I mean, that's kind of my theory. But it worked, and it worked well. We got it done.
So from Shellman's comments, I feel like I may have missed something that Jacob had brought up about himself, or because I started going on about my little rant. He said that it's not all towards you, Jacob. I got told the same thing.
Oh, when I was talking to Jacob about, just slow down and, just take a minute to do it.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. I'm caught up, I think.
And I guess my favorite thing, that especially one of my favorite YouTube shows was Roadkill when it first began. And they're actually back to what they originally started. There was a season or so that was a little lackluster. But, David Freiberger says the best thing. He goes, get in it and drive it. Go have fun. And you know what? Especially for me and my girlfriend, that's now the second big road trip we've done with that truck. And you know what? The first one was fresh out of a cornfield and throw it at the wind, and we went to the truck gathering.
Yep. So
if you told me to drive that truck to California tomorrow, I'd say, well, hopefully the gas station's ready.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care. Get in, let's go.
One of my best Freiberger quotes, and I'll add this to this. David Freiberger, I like him, but sometimes he is full of himself. But one of his favorite quotes, and like Brad was saying, that roadkill show has really inspired me. That was a real inspiration to what I'm doing now. But one of his quotes is, "You don't have to get it right; you just have to get it going."
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And that's like, I've been saying that all my life. That's how I've lived with my automotive passion. Is it's not always been right, but I've had a blast with it. I've had fun with it, and that was still kind of how I do my channel. Is there might not be everything right on this truck, but I guarantee you, this truck, even with the 305 that was in it, I've had the most fun with this truck than I've had with any other vehicle I've ever owned. Not because it was right or had the most power. It was just because I just done it. I did what I wanted to do with it and made it happen. And most of my
trucks. For my
trucks.
$250 Hayfield Impala, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have built that engine with Chad, and it's just something that I can't imagine not happening at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said, get out there, drive your junk. I have a nice truck too. But right now it's torn to 100 pieces. But at the same time, I daily drove that truck to work every single day. And people are like, "Why do you drive that nice of a truck to work?" I go, "Well, why else would I own it?"
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You can have a Trailer Queen and drive it and just bring it to a show. That's your deal. Cool. Get out and drive them. Have fun with them. But if that's what you'd like to do to have fun with it, more power to you as well. But I guarantee you, everything that I've ever built, I build it to drive and have fun with, and have a passion for it. Buff, I think you've done a couple of videos where, is it gonna make it? I don't know.
I don't either. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want people to say I make good choices, because I really don't. And I go, how long, what's the date code on these tires? Oh, 1985.
Oh.
Let's go for it. And
Right? They're still around.
I'm probably going, well, they are for a little, but
So,
I'm going to lose one. It's going to happen, but it's okay.
That subject is actually the reason why this Trailer Queen is getting trailered to Springfield, an hour drive. It's getting trailered. That was the final decision on getting trailered to Springfield this weekend, is because I took it to town the other day just to get some parts from O'Reilly's. And on the way back, like, man, this thing's shaking a little more than what I remembered. Well, the right front tires got a big bulge in it. The belts are separating. I'm like, it's just not a wise decision to go ahead and do it if you know a tire's compromised. I mean,
right.
The age thing don't bother me. I mean, those 37s on the back, have more weather cracks in them than any tire I've ever drove. But I'm not worried about that.
They're round and they hold air.
That's all that matters.
It really is. I have great tread on Brian Vantana, but the tires are like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and
yeah,
I'm
but
still going to run them.
When you have one that's got a huge bulge in it, and I've done that in the past.
You don't want, you don't want to have.
I usually run those tires until they almost rip a fender off. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I was planning on taking him on the cruise part of the show, but he's just going to be there. Well, we're probably going to go on the cruise in Kearney, just cruising through town in the afternoon. But unless I can find some tires, I went searching through my Field of Dreams, and I don't have any better tires that will work. I pretty much went through my used tire selection, so I'm going to have to start gathering up some more. CAD panel. Not sure what Red Eye's talking about there.
I think he's saying hello to all of us.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works.
We're the panel.
Ah, that makes sense. See, you're the brain.
I'm not. I just had longer to look at it.
Yeah, Ugly Truck says no one's ever missed it. Oh, I kept waiting for them to show up. I actually, Ryan with Streetcar Chronicles, he was messaging me on Thursday evening when we were at the dyno, and the wording of his message, I'm like, oh, are you guys, is this the weekend? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, well, what time are you guys going to get started, or what days do you have off? He's like, I almost expected him to show up and surprise us, but he had the Ryan Strong or a benefit show he had to go through that weekend. So once I realized that, I knew he wasn't going to show up, but I was still hopeful. But on the other hand, that was another one of my anxieties of how many people is going to show up, because we only have so much real estate in this little shop, especially with Big Booty Judy in here.
She's a good
it
girl.
could have got really cramped with 3 or 4 more people in here. But
so now I guess let's, not to say to wrap it up, but we all know what Judy pulled on the dyno. Let's say a little lackluster 148 horsepower.
Yeah.
And was it 378 foot-pounds of torque or something like that? I mean, I can go back to a picture real quick and look. But
yeah, it was close to that.
Let's start with Chad. What are you guessing this weekend that Judy is going to put down? I'm telling you, she's healthy. I'll tell you that. She's healthy.
Yeah. I don't know. 140 or 150. I mean, man, because I know headers on a big block will sometimes add 50 horsepower in themselves. I've seen that happen before. I'm going to put down my horsepower number is 230.
I guess let's open.
He's writing it down.
Are we doing torque? Are we doing torque too?
We might as well. I mean, it's a part of it. All right, here, let me get the right number.
Yeah. So what I say on horsepower? 230.
230.
Yep.
230.
He's got his dollar out. Is that my dollar or whose dollar are you using?
It's folded wrong, so I don't remember.
I think that might have been mine.
Mine was crumpled up.
Jacob. I think that one's over here. Hey, Hunter's here. What's up, Hunter? What engine you got set on stand? Oh, that's not me, Dan.
So
I have no engine.
342 foot-pounds of torque is what it was.
What was that again?
342 foot-pounds of torque.
342. Okay, so I said 230 on the horsepower, right?
Yep.
230 horsepower. I would say 385 torque.
385?
Yeah.
All right, Buff, what do you got?
He got too close on the torque to what I wanted. So I'm gonna one up his horsepower because I feel in the love for Judy, and I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be like way too far, but I'm gonna say 275 horse. Because I believe in Judy. She can squeeze that out. It. But I'm also going to give her the torques, and I'm going to say 395. I want to say 400, but I'm gonna let Jacob steal that one from me.
What do you got, Jacob? Streetcar Chronicles came in at 175 and 400.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get as close as close to $1 as I can without going over. So I'm going to go 228. And
228 horse, huh?
Oh, he's pulling my trick. Which I didn't realize I did, but.
And for torque numbers, I'm probably going to go with. I'll probably go 410. I'm feeling optimistic for that.
That is very optimistic.
I think we woke her up a lot.
I'm telling you, she's helped.
She needs cam and heads, but
Right.
she's woke up a lot.
I will say this: the horsepower numbers on Squeaky, without the nitrous, was 315, and the torque was less than 400, if I remember right. So
she's got it. She can do it.
But yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see.
I'll be watching since I can't make it.
I'm gonna guess 265 horsepower, and I honestly think that's a little conservative. And I guess I have a little bit of an unfair advantage because I've driven her. But I'm going to say conservative 265 horsepower because let's be completely honest, we could have thrown a tune-up on what it was, and we probably would have gained 20, 30 horsepower. That includes putting a fuel pump in it because she was starving on fuel. But I guess, like I said, I'm going to be conservative 265, but I'm probably going to say Buff is going to get it again on the horsepower. I'm serious. I mean, we put good fuel to it and everything. She's a whole different animal. I mean,
she's got plenty of fuel. She's got good air in, good air out. I'm pulling for her. I want to see her just bring it up a notch. Yeah. And with other stuff, she's definitely going to fly over 300. But right now, I think that's
right
where she's going to be.
And I think I'm going to match Buff with torque, the 395, because, I mean, it's the torque comes, in my opinion, it's going to come whether the fuel's there or not. The horsepower is what's suffering from the lack of fuel and bad spark.
Now, let's just make sure everybody, I suck at wiring. I don't know what I'm talking about with engines. I'm really bad at keeping wheels. That's the goal here. I'm a complete idiot. Let's keep going with that.
Right. Hey, I get it. Buff, I've probably lost about as many tires as you have, to be completely honest.
Somebody take this $1 from me. That's what I'm saying.
So I guess, Streetcar Chronicles spoke up. If anybody else in the audience wants to guess, let's see it. The results
next weekend.
The results will be this weekend, Saturday at C10 Cruising Show.
Yeah,
in Springfield,
yeah,
Missouri.
Ryan. If you don't have anything going on next Saturday, you just need to hop in the old Ram and head up to Missouri. There's going to be plenty of other guys from Texas coming up, and they're coming from further away from you. The Andy Welch and Sean Settles, they're coming from Fort Worth.
I just recently drove from
Dallas
DFW,
area.
so I'm just saying it's not that far.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
I'm coming from Minnesota.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I guess as far as the results, I'm guessing either Buff or Jacob or somebody will do. We'll try to have one of them at the dyno when we do the pull, so it can wind up.
That'll be Jacob. I won't be there.
Well, I said Jacob or Chad.
Oh, okay.
So we can get it on video and see what it is.
Oh yeah, I plan on. That's going to be the struggle of this weekend. Is I'm going to want to have a video of all the dyno runs, but there's so much going to be going on, and I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
For me, and another really awesome thing about this upcoming show for me is, I'm actually going to know people there. It's going to be the first show that I really go to And, I know you, Brad. You're going to be there. It's like, go visit you. I'm going to be able to, the guys like I just mentioned from Texas, Andy Welch, Sean Settles, those guys are going to be there. I'm trying to think of, what's the deal that Sean Settles has? He's got a
Classic Truck Nationals.
There it is. Yeah, Classic Truck Nationals. Another kind of big name, and the guys with the dyno, I've gotten to know them. They, for some reason or another, I went up there one time and now they treat me like, they've known me for 20 years. And this is going to be one of those shows where I go to, and I've been meeting up with a lot of the guys that are just the spectators there with the truck through Facebook and to this last year or so. So getting to talk to these people, not usually when I go to a show in the last couple of years or my whole life, really I go to a show, I don't know anybody. I kind of walk around, do my thing, and really don't talk to much of anybody. This show is going to be, it's going to be awesome for me because I'm going to know people and get to visit and catch up with people. So, but on the other hand, there's going to be a lot going on because I want to visit with everybody. Ugly Truck Experience is going to be there. I actually met them at the last C10 cruising show last year. That's where, I met them, and it's just going to be an awesome show. I've been looking forward to this show all year. This is my big event for the year. No Name Nationals, not trying to take anything away from that. That's going to be a big event also, but this C10 cruising show is kind of in my home turf. I'm going to know people there. It's going to be an awesome time. They're going to have a lot of stuff going on. The only thing I think maybe I might try to talk them into is maybe next year having a burnout contest or something. But
well, you're the only one that got to ride the burnout truck.
Yeah.
So
I did get that.
I'm fixing to lose phone battery.
So
before I head out, I'm going to give Brad a sneak peek of his probably first of its kind and last of its kind homemade Busted Grill Garage stickers.
Excellent.
So there you go.
Excellent. There we go.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Those turned out.
Yep. I was frustrated by the end of it, but they're there. And Dan, to answer your question, that block sitting behind me, that is nothing real special. Just a 454 truck casting block. Putting it together, hopefully, to get in Rufus before the No Name Nationals. And waiting on some parts to show up. Got aluminum heads to put on it, just some cheapo aluminum heads. But hopefully that gets put together. And then this spring, actually, Buff, that guy, I picked up a 671 BDS blower off of him this past weekend during this Big Booty Judy deal. So
don't give away all my secrets.
It's not your secret anymore.
No, it's not mine anymore.
But
anyway,
I have
no power adders. That's just not. Yeah, I don't. I'm completely stock.
Yep. But that's what's going on with that. I am on like 0.75%. So I'm going to head out.
Okay.
I enjoyed the weekend with everyone. I can't wait to do it again. It's something that I'm going to remember for a very long time. But it's good talking to everyone. I'm going to hop off here.
All right. Thank you very much,
Jacob.
Jacob. I really appreciate all your help and your time and effort. Thank you.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
I guess to ask Ugly Truck why it's painted, there is and Chad can correct me with what type of paint it is, but I know there is a paint that helps with cooling and oil and etc., which is why it's probably painted on the inside.
Yeah, I think it's glyptocol or something like that. It's kind of a red. I think it's enamel based, maybe. But it's one of those things that you don't see it much anymore. It used to be pretty mainstream on high performance stuff. It just seals the block, helps oil drain back.
It's one of those tricks.
Yeah, little little thing. It wasn't necessarily a gimmick. I think there were some studies done that it actually helped with oil drain back and things, but I've never done one. But I'm pretty sure that's what that block has in it.
I guess Shellman's out of here too. Thank you for all your help as well, Shellman.
Yep. Yeah, he's fun to have around. He's a pretty good hand. Of course, he was feeling kind of under the weather the whole weekend, so he just kind of hung out in the house a little bit. But yeah, Shellman's my youngest son. He's got a pretty good head on his shoulders when it comes to mechanical stuff. Just don't let him run the engine hoist or jack. He'll drop it like it's hot.
Yep.
So
okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna go crawl back under Brian Vantana because he made some noise today that was good and bad. So we need to get him moved into the shop, and I hate to give it away, but yeah, it's going under the knife. So I do want to try to crawl under there while it's still cool outside.
Yeah, after work I got Squeaky. He's washed and detailed. Just sprayed some stuff on the tires and wheels, so that's about it. But give him a good hose down, and
oh yeah, I have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Brian Vantana gets his tires cleaned at No Name because there's no way it's going to happen before.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else to add from the Big Booty Judy experience? I almost titled this, instead of Tailgate Talk, Confessions from Under the Truck. Or Under the Truck Confessions.
That has to happen at some point.
That actually did happen underneath Big Booty Judy, because I was under there, and I can't remember who else was under there with me. But we just started visiting. It's like Under the Truck Confessions, and I was like,
you may or may not see that in my video.
Yeah, at least there was no buff. There was no buff stuff going on under the truck confession.
No buff stuff. No, none of that.
Yeah, not a whole lot of buff stuff going on.
No, I had a lot of fun. You know, I would come back anytime, and I'm thankful that Chad, you're a great host. Brad, thank you for letting us touch your truck, because everybody has a love for their own vehicle, and for whatever insane reason you believed in us, and we made it happen. But I loved it. I would absolutely do it again any day. So I mean, I felt like I was on one of those TV shows from back in the day. We're hustling in 4 days building a truck, and it was was cool.
Yeah, behind the scenes, it didn't make it in any of my video. It may have made it in some of yours, Buff, but you know, every once in a while, like, we gotta get this done, or we're gonna lose the shop.
We're gonna lose the shop. We're just done.
No, I guess me as well. You know, Chad, I know it. You know, when this whole thing got dreamt up, I did put you on the spot, and I do thank you for you know, standing up and sticking with it, and letting us all be invited and welcomed into your, not only your garage, but your home, your, you know, everything else like that. You know, not everybody will do that or would do it, but you did, and I thank you for that. You know, me and Deb had a great time. You know, I had a great time with all of you. You know, it was a really fun experience, and like you said, we'll all talk about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Let me answer Dan's question real quick. He's been asking several times. I've been trying to get it answered, but I still have all my dash bezels, but I'm not going to sell any of them. I'm hoarding all my square body parts.
You are collecting the unique ones. You're not hoarding. You're collecting the unique ones.
He got a unique one 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
And the stereo spot is still in perfect shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, this weekend it was after the fact, after everybody left, and I was like just reliving it in my mind. It's like then I realized how big of a deal it was. You know, for the rest of the world, it may not have been a huge deal, but for me, and I hope for you guys too, it was. I mean, it was an experience that not a lot of people get to experience. You know, everybody just getting together, not knowing each other. Brad trusting us to wrench on his truck, and Brad did not.
That was the first mistake.
Yeah, you know,
we didn't take any wheels off.
Well, there's that.
Well, not in my shop, but they,
I lost
you know,
one, but that doesn't count.
But you know, wasn't sure how Brad was going to be. You know, us working on his truck, is he going to micromanage every little thing we done? You know, and Brad was awesome, letting us just do our thing on his truck, trusting us. Just the whole weekend, it was an awesome experience. I never thought would ever happen, and with all my anxieties pre-Big Bougie Judy project, I would love to do this again. Maybe not all the time, but you know,
maybe once a year. That would be fine.
Yeah, once or twice a year. I mean, but it's something that now that I've done it, it's like, okay, this is an awesome experience. I would love to do more of this. So it was great. You know, yeah, it was just awesome. I hope everybody that sees our videos and sees and hears what we talk about it understands how big of a deal it was for us to be able to do a project like this. You know, I think some of that gets lost sometimes. It's like, oh, it's just some guys getting together playing with the truck, but
yeah, they don't know. They don't get it.
It was really more than that, because, like we said, you know, we never really worked together. I've never had something like this going on in my shop, you know, and I loved it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourself. That was another one of my big worries. You know, my wife, up to the point of everybody showed up. She's like, you know, you're just the venue, really. You know, you don't have to entertain everybody the whole time.
But you did. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I can't help that.
Entertain each other.
So, yeah, she helped kind of tame back some of my anxieties, and so big thanks to Mrs. Squarebody for helping me cope with leading up to it, and it was great.
It truly was.
Dean Stevenson, I think he's one of my fans from Australia, I believe.
He's a Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi.
That's New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah, we're kind of up on 2 hours, so
yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Crawl under a van and get violated, or violate the van or something.
Do buff stuff.
I'm gonna do buff stuff. I'm gonna go do buff stuff. But again, thank you all. I can't tell you enough how great it was. And Chad, thanks for having us on tonight, because it's nice to see everybody's face again.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it'd be cool just to kind of everybody get back together and have a debriefing, I guess, in a way.
Let me know when you want to do it again.
Yep. You know I'm down. So anyway, I'm gonna head out, guys. So
all right,
talk.
Take care, Buff.
Have a good one, Buff. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Well, and then there was two.
All right. Then there was us. Yeah.
So, but no, I think it was great, and I think you know, a new, you know, let's get something in the works for this spring.
Yeah.
You know, I think it'll be fun. You know, we can keep the YouTubers in line, you know, as we figure it out. And like I said, I think the next thing is drop Big Judy like she's hot. Put her on air.
and see, yeah, that's another thing. You know, Squeaky's the first truck I've ever owned that I've lowered. And, you know, I've usually, you know, when I talk about 4-link and suspension, I'm usually going up or rock crawler type stuff. So it's familiar territory for me, but going the other direction and doing something different. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that. I would love to be a part of that, because that's another thing is that really motivated me to stick with holding up my end of the bargain, I guess. Was the stuff that we're doing to Big Booty Judy is stuff that I want to do. It's just not, financially and stuff. It's not what I can do right now. So it was a chance to have that on my channel, in my shop, that experience, which I didn't really do a whole lot with the wiring or any of that stuff, but it was here. It was on my channel stuff. So it's something that I wouldn't be able to offer my viewers anytime soon. But thanks to you, Brad, I was able to do that on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And this 4-link, or the air ride stuff, that's another kind of the same idea. Is that's something I'm probably not going to do on my channel anytime soon. So it'd be great to offer that to my viewers, because a lot of square body guys want to go that direction, so I want to offer something to everybody.
But even so with this air suspension that's going in it, because again, like I said, it is my tow rig, and a lot of people, I'll just say, toss shade to oh, you bagged it, you can't tow with it now. Tell that to a semi. Every semi has airbags on it.
Yeah, and I've never understood those comments either. I mean, if it's set up correctly. Now, I have seen some suspension setups that structurally are not sound enough to haul a considerable amount of payload. Right. Some of them, I'm wondering how they even make it down the road without binding up and breaking something, because the geometry is not there. But a properly set up air ride system on a 1-ton is actually way, way better than a leaf spring setup.
Correct.
Especially the shape that your leaf springs are in right now.
I mean, they're together, sort of.
It's. So yeah, but that's the thing is, Big Booty Judy is in need of a suspension upgrade.
Yep.
And not. It's actually a need at this point with her. So, kind of like you were talking about earlier with the upgrades you're wanting to do that we done, you're kind of going through, okay, it's going to cost this much to do factory replacement spring.
Yep.
And you'll have a factory ride, factory height, no adjustability, blah, blah, blah. So you could spend maybe a little bit more and have the air ride, where it's going to be a better ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a more comfortable ride, and you're going to have adjustability so you can get the ride height you want, and you're not going to lose any towing capability if it's set up correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Most bagged vehicles that are bagged properly, A, they never tow, but B, they actually typically increase their towing capacity by being bagged, as long as everything is properly set up. Like you're saying, Chad, my 1-ton, its capacity is probably going to be way greater than what it was on leaf springs. And like you're saying, Chad, okay, so leaf springs is going to cost me, let's call it $800, $900 for a new pair of leaf springs to put it back factory, which is fine. Yeah. But I want to lower the truck. So a lowering kits for a 1-ton is, it's $800-$900. Well, I have some leftover parts from my 67, nearly perfect. I have, because the front cross member is the exact same from a 1/2-ton to a 1-ton. So I have all the brackets and everything, because I'm putting a drop cross member in my 67. So I'm using all those components. I have 1 ton air bags for the front. I just have to buy the proper airbags for the rear. And my friend is making me bars and the 4-link that is heavy duty enough to make her tow. Because there's 2 ways you can do it. You can make it just so it's air ride or towable.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like I said,
and when you're wanting to lower the truck, so you got to replace the springs anyway because their lifespan is overdue. But lowering a truck with leaf springs and staying leaf springs, that pretty much it depends on how you go with it. I mean, you could do a spring over or an axle over springs, leave your springs the same, but you have to do something different with your overload spring.
Right.
So you actually lose some towability with a lowered leaf spring setup.
Right.
And you still to retain that you still have a rough ride.
Yep.
So yeah, the airbags set up right is going to be the way to go, and I'm really looking forward to possibly being a part of it because, like I said, it's just going to be coming down to the logistics of it and figuring that out. But yeah, I'm up for it if we get it all figured out.
Okay, sounds good. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you opening your shop, your home, everything. Getting you some content. And I guess for myself, anybody wondering, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.
Yes.
I have a website. It's bncodesigns.com. All my products are available there. Chad, was not a fan at first, but has now since fallen in love with.
Oh, well, let me reiterate that. I've always been, when I first seen your product, I was a fan. Your products are up here, and my level of builds are way down here. So it was just, how your products fit something like this. We've had this conversation, but now that we've talked and had the conversation, and I've actually put your products on this, and I know you can't really see it from the camera; it's a little bit of ways away, but it's one of those things where even a guy with a lower cost or lower budget build, if you want that one thing or the 1 or 2 things, like these headlight rings or the door handles, to just kind of set your build apart, I get it now. It's they work with any level of build. I'm really in love with these rings, and I need to get these on there because I really want to put the black ones on there. And if I really like the black handles with the silver button.
We will get you handled, sir.
Okay. I love. I mean, this is another thing that I wanted to happen with my YouTube career, but didn't know how it was going to happen. But getting in contact with guys like Brad, with a company like that makes this type of parts, it's just kind of a dream come true. Just what we got going on here, and then you bring your truck down to my shop, and we do what we did to it. It's just, I still kind of sit back, and I'm having a moment right now. I can't tell that it's like,
yeah, but it's to make us the David Freibergers and the Finnegans of the world. This is how it starts. You got to support one another. They didn't get where they were by not being. They were nobodies before. They got into careers and they made their things happen. It's the same thing. We're making our thing happen.
Yep. and this is a dream come true for me, and one of my dreams come true. Just this kind of stuff, and going to this car show, a big truck show. It's not a car show; it's a truck show. One of the biggest truck shows in Missouri, and I'm going there, and I'm going to know people,
Right.
And it's it's another little step, that I never knew or didn't know how long it was going to take or if it is even going to happen, but it's happening. Trying to take it all in, not get overwhelmed with it, but I love it, and I appreciate what you've done for us, Brad, and I know Jacob and Buff has really appreciated you letting us play with your truck. So,
well, maybe we'll come down and play with your truck sometime, and like I said, there's going to be a 2.0 and maybe even a 3.0 for Judy. So,
never know. Comment. Hello? Okay.
hello?
Got back.
I think we're losing you, Chad.
Oh. All right. All right. Well, we'll cut it off here. I appreciate everybody watching, and we're about to lose all the service, I guess. So until next time, y'all keep your square bodies rolling. And if you need some awesome billet parts for your square bodies or any of your trucks, go hit up that guy, Brad with Benco Designs.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
All right. See y'all later.
Yep.